You are alive right now. Your heart is beating. You're breathing. You have people you love, things you care about, dreams you're still reaching for. And all of it, every single bit of it, is temporary. The body you're living in is aging right now as you listen to this. The people around you will not always be around. Neither will you. The job, the house, the savings, the achievements, none of it comes with a guarantee, not even tomorrow. And deep down, you already know this. You've always known it. But knowing something and actually looking at it are two very different things. Most of the time, we don't look. We keep moving. We stay occupied. We build plans that stretch years into the future, and we hold on to those plans as though the future is something we can stand on. And when someone reminds us that none of it is guaranteed, we nod politely, and then we go right back to planning. Because life has a momentum that carries us forward. And there is a strange comfort in staying busy. As long as we're moving, we don't have to sit with what's underneath. But every once in a while the momentum breaks. Maybe it's late at night. Maybe it's in the middle of a crowd. Maybe it's right after something you've been building for years finally falls apart. The noise goes quiet, and in that silence, you see it. Plainly, without any filter. Everything you've poured yourself into is moving. Like a river that looks still from a distance. But when you step close enough, you realize nothing has stopped for even a second. We can feel our lives, but we can't hold them. And there's a particular kind of ache that comes with seeing this, almost like a hum beneath everything else. A sense that somewhere underneath all the noise and effort, something doesn't quite add up. That we are running and building and holding on, and none of it changes the one thing we can't negotiate with. And when we feel that, really feel it, the question comes on its own. If it all fades, then what is this all for? It's a fair question, maybe the most important one we'll ever ask, and it deserves more than a comfortable answer. This question is not new. It has haunted human beings for as long as we've been aware of our own mortality. And over the centuries, the greatest minds have tried to answer it. Existentialist philosophy says we must create our own meaning, that the universe offers none, and the act of choosing is itself the point. Stoicism says the point is to live with virtue and integrity, regardless of outcome, because character is the one thing within our control. Religious traditions across the world say we are here to serve a higher purpose, a divine plan, a cosmic order, a soul's journey toward God. And modern culture adds its own answers. Follow your passion. Build something lasting. Leave the world better than you found it. Each of these carries real wisdom, and many people live full, beautiful lives guided by them. But from the Buddhist perspective, there is something worth noticing. Each of these answers, however wise, serves as a shelter. Each one gives the mind something to hold on to, a reason, a framework, a sense of solid ground, so that the weight of impermanence becomes bearable. And there is nothing wrong with that. Living with kindness, pursuing integrity, serving something greater than yourself. These are genuinely good ways to live. The question is whether they actually resolve the unease, or simply make it manageable. Whether they answer the question, what's the point? Or help us stop asking it for a while. Because as long as the answer depends on something outside of us, it remains vulnerable. It can be shaken. And deep down, we know it. The question always comes back. The Buddha took a different approach entirely. He didn't dismiss the question, what's the point, as foolish. But he saw that we suffer because we are looking for the answer in the wrong place. When we ask, if it all fades, what is this all for? We are usually looking for a destination. We are essentially bargaining with reality. We are saying to the universe, I will accept that I have to age, lose the people I love, and eventually die, but only if you give me a good reason for it. We want a cosmic justification. We want a story that makes the tragedy of impermanence feel acceptable. We assume that if the end of the story is decay, then the whole story must be meaningless. But the Buddha realized that finding a reason for the fire doesn't stop the house from burning down. No story, no philosophy, and no meaning will ever stop the pain of loss. Instead of looking for a philosophical meaning to justify the suffering, he set out to find a cure for it. And to find that cure, he didn't look up at the heavens, and he didn't look forward into the future. He looked directly at the present moment. He looked at the very mechanics of the human mind. So what did he actually see? He saw something that had always been in plain sight, but that most people spend their entire lives looking past. He called it anicca, impermanence. One of the tilakkhana, the 3 marks of existence. Everything that arises will cease. Everything that comes together will come apart. Every experience, every relationship, every state of mind, they appear, they persist for a time, and they dissolve. Everyone knows this, but the Buddha saw it at a depth most of us never approach. He saw it as the fundamental texture of every single moment, including the moment of seeing itself. Every thought arising and passing, every sensation flickering into existence and dissolving before the next one appears. He saw that what we call a life is not a solid thing but a process, an unbroken stream of moments, each one dying as the next one is born, so fast that it creates the illusion of permanence, the way a spinning torch creates the illusion of a circle of fire. And rather than that being terrifying, he found that it was liberating, once he understood what had been making it terrifying all along. Because the suffering was never caused by impermanence. It was caused by what the mind does in response to it. We cling. We wrap ourselves around people, experiences, identities, and we squeeze, as though by gripping tightly enough, we could stop them from changing. And when they change anyway, because they always do, we call it loss. We call it betrayal. We call it proof that life is unfair. The Buddha called this reflex upadana, grasping, the deep, almost invisible movement of a mind that attaches to things and refuses to let go. It is the deepest shelter of all, one we build not with ideas, but with instinct. And the cruelest part is that we don't even realize we're doing it. Grasping doesn't feel like grasping. It feels like loving. It feels like caring. It feels like the most natural thing in the world. That's what makes it so hard to see. You can feel this in yourself right now. Think of someone you love. They're here today, healthy, present, close to you. And yet beneath the warmth of having them near, there's a thread of tension. The mind is already rehearsing the loss before it happens. Upadana steals the present moment by filling it with the shadow of the future. We are so busy bracing for the loss of things that we miss the experience of actually having them. When you hold a handful of sand too tightly, the sand escapes through the gaps between your fingers. When you hold it gently, open, relaxed, it stays. The tighter we grip, the more we lose. That was the Buddha's insight. Suffering doesn't come from the fact that things change. It comes from the illusion that we can control it by holding on tighter. And the moment we see that clearly, truly clearly, something loosens. The grip relaxes. And for the first time, we can actually be here for the life we have, instead of fighting with it. When we hear that, let go, stop gripping, the mind can easily fall into another trap, giving up. If the destination is always decay, why bother? If the outcome is guaranteed to fade, why put your heart into anything at all? Why love, if love can't protect anyone? Why build, if everything crumbles? This is where many people get stuck. They hear the teaching of letting go, and they confuse it with indifference, as if the Buddha was saying, nothing matters, so stop trying. But that is a deep misunderstanding. Letting go of the need to control the outcome is not the same as ceasing to care. In fact, it's the opposite. When you stop demanding that your work make you immortal, you can pour yourself into it for what it actually is. This moment, this task, this chance to bring something good into the world, even knowing it won't last. When you release the grip on the result, the action itself comes alive. You cook the meal with your full attention, not because someone will remember it forever, but because right now, this is what love looks like. Letting go doesn't drain life of meaning. It gives you the freedom to actually live. And the Buddha had a very specific word for the tool that makes this possible. Sati, mindfulness. He placed it at the very center of his path. And what Sati asks of you is deceptively simple. See what is happening, as it is happening, without turning away. This is not about relaxation. Sati is the practice of looking directly at life as it unfolds in real time, in your body, in your feelings, in the movements of your own mind. It is the willingness to watch joy arise and begin to fade without chasing it. To watch pain arise and begin to change without running from it. To sit with someone you love and feel the fullness of their presence without the bracing, without the gripping, because you are aware, fully aware, that this moment is here, complete in itself, precisely because it will never come again. And this changes how you meet everything. The worry that keeps you up at 3 a.m, you can watch it arise without being swallowed by it. The happiness that floods through you when your child laughs, you can receive it fully, without the instinct to grab it and make it stay. The grief that comes when something ends, you can be with it honestly, without needing to push it away. Even the busyness that fills your days doesn't have to be fought or escaped. You can be present inside it. Hear what your partner is actually saying instead of planning your reply. Every experience, pleasant, painful, or neutral, has the same nature. It comes, it stays for a while, and it goes. And the less you fight that rhythm, the more fully you can live within it. But sati is not only about observing, it is also about choosing. And this is the part that many people miss. Choosing patience when everything in you wants to react. Choosing to raise your children with everything you have, and then learning to let them become who they are. Choosing to love someone without demanding that they stay the same. If you are looking for the point of it all, it lives right here. Each of these choices leaves an imprint, not on the world's memory, but on the fabric of your own mind. And that imprint is not erased when the moment passes. It stays with you. It becomes you. There is a particular kind of courage in this. We are taught from childhood that the right response to suffering is to fight it, to fix it, to push through. And sometimes that's true. But there are things in this life that cannot be fixed. The death of someone you love, the failure of something you gave everything to, the slow realization that your body will not carry you forever. These are not problems to solve. They are realities to meet. Sati doesn't ask you to fight these things. It asks you to be with them, to feel them without collapsing, to let them teach you what they came to teach, and then to keep walking. And something else happens when you live with this kind of attention. You begin to see the people around you differently. When you stop fighting your own impermanence, you start seeing theirs. The colleague who frustrates you, the parent whose calls you keep postponing, the stranger beside you on the train, they are all carrying their own weight, facing their own fading, doing their best. And from that seeing, something softens. The distance between you and them shrinks, because you recognize that you've been standing on the same ground all along. There is a difference between holding someone's hand and seizing their wrist. One is presence, the other is control. Sati is what teaches you the difference, again and again, in the small, repeated moments of a day. And when you live this way, even imperfectly, even in scattered moments through a busy week, you start to notice something. The moments you were most alive were never the big achievements or the dramatic milestones. They were the still ones. A meal shared in silence with someone you love. A walk where you actually notice the sky. A single moment of patience with your child when everything in you wanted to snap. One conscious breath in the middle of a chaotic afternoon. Those moments were already whole. They were just waiting for you to be there. But we do not have endless time to learn this. In the Chigala Sutta, the Buddha compared the rarity of human birth to a blind sea turtle that surfaces once every 100 years, and a single wooden yoke with a hole in it drifting on the vast ocean. The chance of that turtle surfacing with its head through that yoke, he said, is greater than the chance of being born human. And it is rare for a reason, because the human realm is the one form of existence where this kind of awareness is possible. This life, this particular improbable, fleeting human life, is the opening, and it will not stay open forever. If we all die, what's the point? The question may come back. At different ages, in different forms. That's all right. It means something in you is still awake. And when it comes, instead of rushing to fill it, sit with it. Breathe with it. The Buddha didn't hand us a cosmic purpose to justify the end of the story. He showed us that the meaning was never at the end. It was always right here. The point is not to build a shelter that lasts forever. The point is to wake up. The point is the quiet dignity of the choices you make and the intentions you plant, even knowing they will fade. The point is to hold the people you love without gripping them, and to be fully present for this ordinary, unrepeatable moment. And when that happens, when greed, hatred, and delusion slowly lose their grip, what's left is something remarkably simple. A mind that meets each moment fully, without resistance, without grasping, without the need for it to be anything other than what it is. A mind that can love without clinging, act without demanding, and be present without fearing what comes next. Living with a free mind in an impermanent world, that is the highest meaning of a human life. And it begins with the very next breath you take.